Hello, everyone. Just test. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, please give me a hands. Okay, thanks. Thanks, everyone. So we'll start very soon. Firstly, welcome everyone for joining us, joining the BYD Battery Box webinars. And my name is Joey. So I'm from the BYD Battery Box teams. So I think we still have some people join us, and we'll start in 1 minute. And we hope everyone enjoyed the webinars for today. And yeah, we love to have more webinars in the future. Okay, so I think we already have about 150 join us. So let's get started. Okay, everyone. Firstly, welcome everyone for joining the BYD Battery Box webinars. Thank you very much for your time. My name is Joey. So I'm from the BYD Battery Box teams. And for today, we have our local service partner, EFT Online, who will answer all the questions here. And also from our side, we have the BYD support teams and engineering team also online from China. So if you have got any questions during the webinars anytime, please put out questions in the chat box. And also in the end of the presentation, we have, if we got time, we will have the Q&A sessions. So any questions you have and any feedback you have for the BYD Battery Box, feel free to shoot us anytime. And let's get started. So for the agenda for today, firstly, I'll take a few minutes to introduce the BYD companies and the battery box. And secondly, for those who are maybe high seat at the moment, who are looking at the battery box, we'll spend some minutes to talk about why you should choose the BYD batteries. And thirdly, we'll have the very focus on the product series, our premium battery box premium series. And lastly, we have a colleague, Kuan, who will spend about 15 minutes to give you the product live demonstrations. Okay, so firstly about BYD, I think most of you already know the BYD pretty well, but just for those who haven't heard of the BYD before. So BYD means build our dreams and also bring you dollars. So that's our mission and our dream, and that's why we are here. And the picture you see in this slide is our very new setup building in our headquarters. So this is very beautiful building, the reception buildings. And we hope sometime this year or next year, we can welcome you and show you around here. So in terms of the BYD group, the BYD has 4 major business. And the first is auto business. And then secondly is the electronic business, and also new energy and road transit. So as we all know, the 2020 is a very tough year and challenging year for every us. But for the BYD group, from Q1 to Q3, the first 3 quarters is still very strong, and the sales revenue is about $15.8 billion US. So year-over-year increase is about 12%. And I just got a question in the chat box. For today, the language is in English. Sorry about that. So today is in English, but in the future, we have more dedicated webinars in the different languages. But today is English. So the automobile is one of the major business for the BYD. And globally, we have supplied the pure electric buses globally, and also in Europe. We're supplying in a lot of European countries. And this one here is very famous one in London. And also in the 2020, last year, due to the global pandemic, and the BYD took the responsibility to set up the BYD Cares and to supply and to manufacture the face mask. So we are very proud today to say that the BYD now is one of the largest face mask manufacturer, and every day the BYD can produce maximum 100 million pieces of the face mask, and we are supplying the mask to the world to protect the people from COVID-19. And about the battery box, so just give you a quick look at our premium series. So this product line here is our major battery box premium series, which include the high voltage range and also the low voltage range. So for high voltage, we got HVS and HVM. And for low voltage 48 volt, we have got LVS and LVL. So I'll spend more time in the later stage to give you more introduction. So in Europe, we have been studying in Europe for more than 6 years. We are very honored and humbled to see we just got the latest report from the EUPD. And I think this is not only the success from the BYD side, but also we want to celebrate with you guys together. I think it's all of you who contribute and make this happen. And we are very happy to share with you at the moment from half of the first half of 2020. So BYD is the second market share in Germany and also in Europe. Really appreciate your support. We'll still keep improving the product, improving the service. And this one is also very exciting ones from the EUPD research. And you can see here, so from the report, BYD is the most well-known battery storage manufacturer among the owners of the battery installed in 2020. And when we will still keep improving our product to provide the better technology and the product to the customers. And for those who still think about why I should choose the BYD, and we got some slides here to show you. So when you choose the battery, I think the technology is one thing, but the other very important thing and the priority maybe is the safety when you install the battery in your homes. So from the BYD perspective and the chemistry, the BYD is using the lithium iron phosphate, which is the most safest battery chemistry. So in the right-hand side of these slides, you can see there are a few major chemistry in the world, and which is the NCM or NCA or the other chemistries. But the green one is the lithium iron phosphate. And this graph shows the temperature range of decomposition, which means the catch fire. So you can see the lithium iron phosphate, the green one, has the highest range, which means the lithium iron phosphate is the safest. And not only from the chemistry perspective, but also from the system perspective. So the BYD, the whole systems, the whole range of the systems, battery box premium, have been certified with all the global and international standards. So the premium series has been certified with the CE, the VD 2510-50, and IEC and the UL. So basically all this international and the local standards has been certified with our product. And secondly, we have got a very high reliability. As I mentioned earlier, the battery box has been selling more than 6 years. And in the global market, we have been installed our systems more than 80,000 systems in more than 56 countries. So which approve this battery has very, very good reliability. And the other very interesting and the main features of the BYD battery box is the flexibility. So as maybe some of you already used the battery box, and the major benefit of the battery box is the modular design, which has a very wide range. From one module, LVS, you can get 4 kWh battery, and you can scalable up to almost 1 megawatt hours. So which has the very wide range and is tailored for mostly every single installations. And secondly, with the module design, the customer can extend at any time during the warranty years. So basically at the initial stage, if they only got 2 or 3 persons, they only need about a small systems. But after a few years, when they have more people join the families and they may need more power of the storage, they can add the modules and they can add more systems. And it's very easy to extend. And also, it's very flexible in the location. So the battery box, the BYD batteries, the support ambient temperature is from -10 to 50, which is very wide temperature range. And also the location, we got IP55 systems, which means that you can not only install inside, but also you can install outside. But just make sure that you never install the battery system in the direct sunlight. So you gotta have the shelf or the shed on top of the batteries. And the other thing is like the very high usabilities. So as you probably know, the BYD companies, we only supply the batteries, but we also compatible with lots of mainstream inverters in the market. So as you can see in the left-hand side, we have most of the major global inverter brands like the Furnace, Goodway, Carco, Costo, SolarEdge, Sangro, SMA Studer, and the Victron. So which also give you like lots of flexibilities and also in the lots of different applications. And also we got a very wide range applications, not only for the on-grid self-consumption, but also the on-grid and the backup and also off-grid. So basically the battery box solutions can meet all your requirements. And the other thing with the premium series is that with all the batteries, we got an app available in the Google Play and Apple Store. So when you install the batteries, make sure you download the app before you go to the site and configure the battery systems. And it's very smart tools for you because not only can configure the battery, but also you can read all the battery systems information on the apps, such as the SOC, temperature, and etc. And if you are not familiar with the apps on the phones, we also got a PC version. So it's called the B Connect Plus, and you can use that for more functionalities, the diagnose, history information reading, and the firmware update. Okay, so I'll have more introduction for each product. So firstly, we want to introduce is the high voltage range, which is the HVS and HVM. So just let you guys know that we got all the technical support online. And for those join later, if you got any questions or any feedback for the battery box, just put out the questions on the chat box and our team will respond very quickly. And we very value your feedback or your input for the battery box. And that's good for us to learn, for us to improve. We are very keen to see that. Okay, so firstly, the HVS and HVM. So currently the HVS and the HVM are very, very popular in the European market. And to meet all the customers' demands, we supply 2 models. And the first one is HVS, and the second one is the HVM. So S means small, and M means medium. So as you can see, the HV high voltage range is the modular design. And for HVS, each module is connected in series, which means we got a minimum number of modules required. And for HVS, the minimum is 5.1 kWh. And then you can scalable up to 5 modules, which is 12.8. And also you can parallel up to 3 towers. While for HVM, the minimum battery numbers is 3 modules, which give you the capacities 8.3. And then this is very, very significant capacity that you can have up to 8 modules in stackable in one tower. Yeah, it's about 2 meters high, but the capacity you can get about 22 kilowatt-hours. And you can also in parallel 3 towers, which give you maximum capacity is 66 kilowatt-hours. It's a very big capacity. And the compatible inverter for the high voltage. So firstly, the Coastal Plantico, and then Fronius, and Sangro, SMA, Goodway, and Kako. Sorry. So all the compatible inverters models are here. And for some of the key parameters here for HVS, the usable energy from 5.1 to 12.8, output power from 5.1 to 10.2 kilowatt, and the operating voltage is from 200 volt to 500 volt. And dimension is also quite sleek batteries. And the dimension is the same with the HVM. And the coming soon that we're still testing with the other inverters because we receive some customers' demand and we want to meet that requirement as much as we can. So the next coming will be the Inga team and then the Solis high voltage inverters, and that will be compatible with the HVS and HVM. So just give you guys a very very clear information. When you purchase the product and we receive the product, you just got to be clear the components of the battery box is pretty simple. And for the high voltage, basically just 2 components. The first one is the battery module. So you can decide how many modules you need. And the other one is the HVBCU and the base. And that comes with one box. And then the battery module with another box. And that's all the parts. Another thing we want to mention for when you choose the battery box is the minimum configuration list. Because as you know, we got lots of inverter compatibilities, and for each single inverters, there are some voltage range requirement and some power requirement. So for some models and some packages, that's not compatible with some battery configurations. So we highly recommend when you look at the battery box, you download the minimum configuration list in the BYD battery box global website or our local service EFT website. And you can see all the models which is workable with each inverters. And for some of the models, for example, if I take an example of the Fronius Gen 24 with the HVM 8.3, 3 modules, because the voltage doesn't match and this package is not compatible. So just please make sure when you purchase the systems, you have the right configurations. And how to read the minimum configuration list. So inside the documentations, we have all the numbers, modules, and inverter compatible configurations. And also we have illustrate the firmware versions for the BMS and the BMU. And currently our latest version of the BMU is 3.13 and the BMS is 3.19, because we are keeping to upgrade the firmware with more functionalities. And also, for example, currently in Europe is winter, so we also developed the winter mode. And this is the latest firmware with more functionalities. I will highly recommend all of you guys, if you have installed the battery box product, especially after the September 5th, 2020, after this date, and please spend some time to check the battery box firmware versions. If that version is below the 3.13, and the BMS is below 3.19. And please, yeah, you can see this is the latest firmware versions. And please upgrade to this latest firmware version, and there will be more functionalities for the systems. And also, you can see the inverter firmware version, which is the latest inverter firmware version to make the systems operate very normally. And some notice we also have in the list is that such as the HVS systems cannot be parallel with the HVM systems. And also I put here, yeah, I put here, so it's the 3 HVM 22 is not supported with the Simon Hybrid or Simon Gen 24 Plus. Yeah, so there's a lot of information in the minimum configuration list, and please, yeah, check this list. And we're also updating the list regularly because we have more and more inverters coming, and this is very good for you to have a look. And some of the installation tips for the high voltage range. So firstly, the tip 1 is the HVS and HVM. So as you can see, for single tower, the HVS, the minimum one is 2 modules. You can't have 1 module basically, and the maximum is 5 modules, which means you cannot have 6. And then for HVM, these from 3 modules to 8 modules. And yeah, the same is that you can't use 2 or 9 or 10. Yeah, it's too tall, and it's too much for us. And also for the parallel systems, and please make sure when you parallel the high voltage systems, you have to make sure for every single tower, the module number is the same, because the logic for the high voltage is each module is connect in series to get a high voltage, and for multiple tower parallel connections, each tower has to be the same voltage. Otherwise, the whole system doesn't work. And also, as I mentioned, that the maximum you can get up to 3 towers. So for 3 towers or 2 towers, each tower has to be the same battery module numbers. And also, you can't mix HVS or HVM. So some customers are asking if I can use like together HVS, 1 HVS systems and 1 HVM systems. Unfortunately, that's not possible. So you have to use the same version for the whole systems, for the whole installations. And our colleague Kuan will tell you how to tell the difference and make sure you got the right model. And the tip 2, so to download the latest version of the BConnect app, and because we also update the BConnect apps regularly with more functionalities. At the moment, you can configure the systems via the app. You can also read the battery systems on the line, and please check the version of the BConnect app monthly to get the latest functionality and the latest firmware. So it's called the BConnect app, and it's available in the Google Store and the Apple Store. And the tip 3 is the switch on process. So when you install the systems and when you turn on the systems, please always make sure, firstly, switch the circuit breaker if you have. So that's number 1. And number 2, always turn on the battery before the inverters. And the third one is to turn on the inverter. So please, some recommendations that always turn on the battery and then turn on the inverter. Okay. And then the system's switch off process is pretty much the same as the switch on process. Firstly, sorry, just give me a second. Yeah, so firstly is the inverter, and then is the turn off the inverter, and secondly, turn off the battery, and then if there is some circuit, some breakers in between, and turn off the breaker. And tip 5 is the module extensions. So if you guys and your customers get some requests to extend the batteries modules, and it's pretty much like very simple to do this one. And basically the new module, when we dispatch from the factory, the SOC is about 30% SOC. So the only thing you need to do is to make the current systems, the SOC, to equal to 30%. If you got 40%, it's just to discharge about to 30%. And if you got 20%, to charge the battery to 30%. Make sure the current systems is the equals to 30%, and add another module in the current systems. And then to reconfigure the systems via the big connect apps. Yeah, so that's pretty simple. And tip 6 is the combiner box. I know there's a lot of customers are waiting and asking this for a long times. And finally, we have got the combiner box for the parallel connection for high voltage systems. It's going to be available pretty soon in April in Europe. So basically, I guess that in April, you can purchase this one from your BYD distributors. Okay, there's some troubleshooting tips that we want to give you. So basically, when you do all the installations and the commissioning of the systems, and just in case there may be some issues happened, and we have got the service guideline on our website and the local service partner EFT website. So this is pretty helpful and handy tools for you guys. And there's a lot of regular and common issues, some common issues illustrate in the service guidelines, who can guide you how to see which problem is and how to resolve the issues. So I highly recommend you download this one when you do the commissioning of the battery storage systems. And just in case if you need support from our service teams, and much appreciate that you can check this checklist. There's some basic information we require, and if you collect all this information before you contact our service partners, and this will to quickly resolve your issues. So please make sure that you download this service guideline on the website. And it's pretty handy tools, like they're very helpful for you guys to install and to diagnose the systems. Okay, so that's for the high voltage range. And then to introduce the low voltage range. So this is the LVL. So I think you're pretty familiar with the LVL. Single systems is the LVL 15.4. You can have two systems on top of each other. And then you can also scalable up to 64 units. And this is pretty suitable for some small commercial projects and save a lot of space for you. Sorry, I forgot to mention that the LVL is IP20 ratings, but we also got IP55 version. So this is the LVS. And it's pretty much the similar design as the high voltage. You get the battery module, you get the top BDU and the base, and also the BMU. And it's the modular design. Each module is connected in parallel So basically, you can start from one module, and one module is LVS 4.0 kilohours. And for single tower, you can get up to 6 modules, which give you the capacity of 24 kilohours. And also you can parallel single towers and make the bigger systems. And the compatible inverter for the low voltage, firstly for the LVL 15.4, as you can see, is compatible with the SMA Sunny Island and the Victron, Selectronic, Goodway, and the Studer. And for the LVS, so you get a SMA, Victron, Solar Edge, Goodway, Sangro, and the Studer. Sorry, Sean, please mute. And also, we still also testing internally some other inverters. So you can see Solis inverter, low voltage hybrid inverters, and also Schneider low voltage inverters. So the LVS and LVL will be compatible with 2 of these pretty soon. So I think there's some noise, and just mute. Yep. Sorry, guys. Okay. And also here to give you idea, with probably some customer haven't pushed our battery storage systems. The major components is pretty simple. As you can see here is the LVS. So there are 3 components. The first one is the battery modules, which come with 1 box. And the second box comes with the LVS PDU and the base. So the PDU is on the top. That's the power distribution unit. It's pretty much similar like the high voltage BCU. And then you got BMU, the IP55 BMU. And for LVL, is two components. First one is the LVL battery systems, and then the second one is the IP20 BMU. The same with the high voltage is the minimum configuration list. Yeah. Highly recommend you guys to check this list and regularly to make sure you get the right configurations. Because if you get some models which is not compatible, and then the systems will not work properly, and also the systems will void the warranties. So make sure you guys check this minimum configuration list, and then yeah, it's happy to go. And some installation tips for the low voltage. So for single tower of the LVS, as I mentioned earlier, so you get from 1 module, and for single tower, you can get up to 6 modules, not 7, not 8 modules. And in parallel, because there are some power restrictions, if you parallel the low voltage LVS systems, for each tower, the maximum module numbers has to be 4 modules. You can't have 5, you can't have 6 modules. As you can see here, when you parallel the LVS systems, each module maximum is 4 modules for single tower, but you can parallel whatever you want. Yeah, so you can't have 5 in each tower. And the same with the high voltage is that download the app, check the latest version of the BConnect app monthly to get the latest functionalities and latest firmware on the Google and the Apple. And the other thing for the low voltage is the cable connections. So basically communication to inverters, that basically pretty much depends on the choice of inverters, and the cable between the BMU and the inverter must be specially made. Please check. And the Cat5 or hair is recommended, and also check the cables and replace them if necessary. And also grounding cable is required, and the battery box connect directly to the ground bus of the house. And the third one is the Ethernet cable for internet. This is strongly recommended because the battery box, there's one very unique features, which is that the battery can connect to the internet, and that is very, very beneficial for the after-sales service. If you got a problem with the battery start systems, if you connect the battery with the internet, the problem will be resolved very, very quickly. And we can basically to diagnose the systems remotely. So the connection to internet connection is highly recommended to you guys, and to make sure that you can have the systems issues resolved as quickly as possible. And switch on procedures on the LVS. So that's pretty much the same as the high voltage. And as always, you can turn on the battery firstly, and then activate the inverters. And to turn on the LVS, and please press the button on the LVS. My colleague Kuan will introduce in the live demonstrations where is the button is, and then to check the correct operations when the system is running properly. And LVS switch off procedures is pretty much the same. And firstly, turn off the inverter, and then turn off the battery, which is the BMU. When you turn off the BMU button, press the button of the BMU for 5 seconds, and the whole systems will shut down. And LVL switch on procedures. So firstly, if you got a breaker in between, it turn on the breaker. And secondly, there is a press button on the battery, turn on that button to turn on the whole systems. And then thirdly, to activate the inverter. So for, as you can see, for basically all the priming the batteries, that's the basic logic, and it's highly recommended. And the troubleshootings is similar and the same as the high voltage. We have got the service guideline for low voltage LVS and LVL on the website. And please to check the website and download these documentations. And it's very handy tools for you to list all the common issues you may encounter when you install the systems or do the troubleshootings. And there's lots of very quickly tools and method to give you some ideas how to resolve the issues as quickly as possible. But if you want to contact our service, our service is ready to support you anytime, and it's highly recommended and appreciate it. You can also give them some basic information which can make the process quickly. Okay, so some commissioning and firmware update. So we have mentioned several times that the BConnect app is necessary when you install the battery, as is needed for the commission the systems. This is the installer app is for the battery configuration and access battery information and firmware update. We also got a PC version, which you can also download from the website. And for the firmware update and also configurations, it's pretty simple, just a few steps to put in some basic information on the inverter, and then on the battery models, and how many modules when they install the systems, and on-grid, off-grid, single-phase or three-phase, and then to confirm. Just a few minutes and ready to go. And the last one from my side is the support. And I think the support for us and for you is very, very important. So that's the reason we have a lot of service documentations, and we have the service people, EFT, on site and online to support you guys. And if you are looking for any BYD batch box information, data sheet, installation manuals, or minimum configuration list, or the service guideline, or even the marketing image, you can go to our website. Make sure you go BYD batch box website. You can go to the download section, and yeah, you can see all the basic information there. And also, yeah, alternatively, you can go to the EFT website to find all the information as well. Yeah. And also, we have the social media, the Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, which where we publish lots of very handy tools and product information regularly every week, and the new product release and the technical information. So if you are interested, make sure you follow us, and we're looking forward to interact with you. Our YouTube channel is also established, but it's relatively new. But in the future, we have more videos, the installation videos for each model, and published on the YouTube channels. And you can follow us on the YouTube channel to see all the BYD latest informations. Okay, so I think it's the right time, and I'm going to hand over to my colleague Kuan, and he's going to give you more introduction on the live show. Well, welcome, Kuan, and I'll switch my my video.
Hello guys, my name is Kuan Li and from Battery Box team. Well, thank you Joy for the very detailed introduction of the whole Battery Box family. And well, so let's have a look on the product life part. Well, actually, Joey have covered most points of the installation tips, and we can just go quickly on some very important tips when you doing the installation parts. Well, so first, as you can see, all the system behind me are the Battery Box Premium series. So we have HV series and LV series. We have HVS, HVM, LVS, and LVL. So let's start with HV products first. Well, so we have two versions for HV products, HVS and HVM. They all have the very classic, remarkable modular design, which allow you can stack the better models into very flexible and to achieve the capacity or power that you want. Yeah, and they also have the IP55 rating protection level, so you can install them in the outdoor scenarios as well. Well, so let's have a look on the package you're going to receive when you're doing the installations. Well, so when you're having the Battery Box products, you have two kind of packages. The first one is the battery module, and the second one is the BCU and the base. So tip number one is that the BCU and base can be used for both HVS and HVM version, but not the battery module side. So you have to separate the battery module when you install the systems and never mix the modules. But it's very simple to distinguish them. So we have a different color mark on the outside of box. So as you can see, there's a mark indicating the HVM. Also for HVS version, it has different marks. Yeah, so that's very important. Please separate them. Okay, so when you open the box, you're going to have some materials. First, you're going to have different documents for installing guides. We have a service, it's a quick installation guide for your reference, and please make sure to read that before you're doing any work in the systems. And as Joey mentioned before, we also offered a minimum configuration list. So give you the indication of which inverter and which type, which parameters can be achieved for your installations. So please read this really carefully, and please configure your system really carefully and following this. Otherwise, the system cannot work, and you will lose your warranty if the system don't work. Okay, so the next step is to have the battery model. So this battery model is a dummy, but the real model is not really heavy, and one person can handle this. Yeah. Just please make sure to protect yourself, and in case anything is falling. Okay, so when you're finishing the module stacking and doing the mechanical parts of the battery box, the next step will be doing the cabling works. So talking about the cabling, there's one point I want to show you is that in the premium version, we have designed a dedicated area for only the cabling works. And not like before, you don't need to open the top cover anymore. And you can finish all the cable works only from the side of surface, right? And let's have a closer look on the cable panels of the battery box high voltage. Joy, could you help to switch? Yeah, thank you. Well, so this is what so this is the operation panels for cabling works. And as you can see, we have designed a whiteboard and which have all the content and the instructions for your cabling works. And it's showing every function of every port. Yeah. So let's have a detailed look. So this 3 ports is for plus minus of power cables. And in the middle, we have the Ethernet function it's an optional function, but we highly recommend to make the system online. And we have different options for communicating with the inverter. So yeah, sorry, on the below side, the 2 ports are for parallel connections if you want to parallel different towers of HV products. And on the upper side, we offer 2 communication portals to inverters. And please read inverter manual and read our manual really carefully when you do the cable works. Yeah, and there's one point I need to mention is that we have some terminal resistor is playing some functions when you're doing the parallel connections. And please follow the manual carefully, otherwise the parallel don't work. Yeah, and talking about the safety, there's a very small clicker right here. Well, but this plays a really nice function for your safety. So we designed this clicker to prevent any incident opening of the panel or the wrong installation of the panel. So when you do the covering or the sealing of the cover in the wrong way, the system will shut down and will cut off all the powers. Yeah, so that's basically the cable parts for the HV products. And one point about the right sequence of turning on the system is that, so I guess Joey also mentioned ahead, is that to turn on the system, well, first turn on the turn on the breakers between battery and inverter. And the second one is just turn on this air breaker. And that's all for turning on the system. Yeah. HVM is actually sharing the same design concept as HVS products. So the only difference they have in the appearance is this. Well, take a closer look on this. So HVS have a single line mark in the left corner, and HVM have a double line mark in the case. Please check those marks and do not mix the battery modules in one tower or in parallel systems. That's very important. Okay, so that's basically all the tips for HV products, and let's go to the LV part. Right, so LV products, we also have two versions, LVS and LVL. LVL, like the bigger one. Yeah, so I would like to share two major tips for the LV products. So first is about the cabling of the LVS. Right, so as you can see, we have a different design on the cabling part, right? It's a little different from HV products because the LVS is coming a little later than the HV products. So we have more advanced and more easy connection design in the products. So we offer two very quick plug and play port for power connection and two ports for communication and the Ethernet connection. So this time you don't need to open the cover anymore. And all the things you need to do is just plug this cable to the port. But there's one thing is that so the length of the cable is dependent on you. So you can design based on your requirements. And there will be a terminal is required for combining the cables and the cabling ports. But BYD is offering three versions of the connector. So like this, and it's available in your wholesalers or your distributors side. We have three diameters, 70 mil and 50 mil, and another is 30 mil. So you can design your applications and select the right dimensions. Yeah, and the two ports for communication connection on the upper side, it's so the two ports also playing the parallel connection function. Please follow the manual. If you the LVS is capable to stack to parallel up to 64 battery modules, so you can get a very high capacity. Yeah, but on the very first tower, the first port is for communication to the BMU and then to the inverter side. Okay, so the second thing about the LV products is that we offered another part, it's called BMU, which is the battery managing unit. And this part is playing the bring function or communication function to the inverter side. Yeah, and tip number one for this is that no matter how many battery modules or how many LVL towers you want to achieve, you only need one BMU, single BMU to control the whole system. Right. So even you want to achieve almost 1 megawatt hours system, you only need one single BMU. And the rest of works will be solved by the battery itself. So they will have different ID assignments, like who is the number one, who is number two, and then they will have the right orders to communicating with this small brain. The LVL, yeah, it's a same design, no matter in BMS or the control concept. Yeah, and yeah, thank you guys. This is all the points I want to mention in this today's webinar. So I want to hand over again to Joy.
Thanks, Kuan. Thank you very much for the nice live demonstrations. Welcome, guys, back. Just let me switch back. Yeah, welcome, guys, back. And yeah, I think Kuan has a very nice demonstration to show you. For those who haven't really touched the battery box before, to give you guys to see what the product looks like. So actually, it's a very like the very slim batteries. It's not a huge battery bank. It's just quite sleek and quite neat. Okay, I think that's pretty much for today's, and thank you very much for joining us, Maxi, Dunk, and Glasses. And the next one is gonna be the Q&A. So before we get to the Q&A, I just want to let you guys know that we are gonna have the regular webinars for different topics. So this is the first one of this year. So it's more like a general webinars, but in the next following month, we will have more dedicated webinars. And also I believe EFT teams will also have dedicated different local language webinars in different markets. And if you guys want to hear more, some topics you want to hear, you can let us know and we can prepare accordingly. But in the following webinars, we have more dedicated and spend more time to give you more technical insights and some really detailed installation and commissioning and troubleshooting tips. Yeah. So please stay close with us and stay in touch. You can follow our Facebook, our LinkedIn, and yeah, I will give you an update when we have the next one. Okay. Thank you very much for your time today. And if you guys have any questions, yeah, please ask. You can put in the chat box. I'm just checking the Q&A sessions. Yeah, I think most of the questions already answered by our teams. Yeah, our team has done a very beautiful job. Really appreciate that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, if you guys want to leave, you can leave now. Yeah, thank you very much for your time today. Really appreciate that, and have a very nice day. Stay safe. Qiao. And yeah, if you have more questions, you can put the questions here. Yeah, there's more questions coming. Yep. Thank you, guys. Thanks. See you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, I think for some of the questions haven't been answered in chat box, maybe I can answer here. Okay, just let me have a look. Yes, so the presentations and the recording of the webinars will be sent to you guys by the email. I hopefully tomorrow or early next week, we'll send you email with the presentations, the PDF versions, and also the recording webinars. Yeah, we'll send you next week as well. Thank you very much. Yeah, just let me have a look at the. Thank you. Okay, so the main difference of the HVS and HVM is especially when you choose the different inverters, the main difference is the capacity and the power. So with different inverter models, the whole systems can achieve certain capacity and certain power. And how to choose the systems for your customers, I'll put it this way. If your customers require a high power with a smaller capacity, you can recommend the HVS. But if the customer, they prefer that after a bigger capacity, like 20 to 30 kilo hours, you can recommend the HVM. So that's one major difference. And the other difference is depends on the inverter. Some inverter is only compatible with HVS version. So sorry guys, just give me a second. Yeah, sorry guys, I think there's some internet drop, but now I think you can hear me now. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much all the questions for today. But if you guys still have any questions, you can send us the email or give us a call anytime. We'd like to chat. And yeah, so we can finish for today. Once again, thank you very much for your time today and really appreciate that. Have a nice day. Stay safe. Ciao.